and I'm with the Strategic Planning Workbook series. And today I am bringing you the amazing Ty Talbot from Seven Figures Funding to talk to you about how creative funding can create massive wealth in your business. So, without further ado, I will let Ty do the talking. Hi,
Sarah,
Ty.
thank you. How's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
Great. I'm doing awesome. I'm doing awesome. I'm excited to be here today and like you said,
Thank you.
talk a little bit about funding and different strategies that we've seen people do really, really well with over the last year plus, especially like we talked about in the strategic business funding space. So if you don't mind, I'm going to actually just jump in here and share a few slides on, the systems, processes, what's working, who's still lending money, and some, make sure that we're avoiding a lot of the common mistakes that business owners make where a lot of people, they just go directly to their bank and think that's the only option, and in all reality that's probably one of the worst options. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you here.
Great, great.
All right, that working? You see my screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So let's dive right into this. And I want to, before we just start talking money, I understand that money and debt, it can be a little bit of a sensitive topic. And so with Seven Figures Funding and our team and our system, the very first thing that we feel, if you're going to go and access capital, we need to understand why. And whoever you're working with to access the capital needs to understand the why. So I'm going to take just a few minutes and tell you a little story about my background and why I'm doing what I'm doing here today.
Super cute.
Many, that's Jack and Tom. Like I told you, Tom's we won't get into that. But these are my boys here, and I obviously love them with all my heart. But my why is a lot deeper than, oh, I want to provide a good life for my children, because everyone wants to provide a good life for their children. But why do you want to do that? Now, many years ago, I remember I was about 12 years old, and I, like a lot of people, come from divorced parents. And my mom was fantastic. Always, we had food, we had clothes, we had everything that we needed. We were loved. Now, on the other side, you know how it goes. Every weekend, we're sent to go spend a night with our father. Now, I know he loves us and everything, but the financial situation was a little tricky. And there was one specific morning where me and my little sister, she was 8, I was 4 years older than her, we woke up and we were pretty hungry. And we opened the fridge, we opened the cupboard, there's nothing in there, like maybe some elbow noodles, but no milk, no butter, nothing to do with them. And so we go to our dad, hey, can we take your credit card? There was a grocery store across the street. Can we take your credit card and walk over and just get some basic food? Sure, whatever, take it, go. So we grab the card, we go get some very basic, like Pop Tarts, cereal, just some very basic things. We were hungry, and we go up to the register and we go to check out, and I give them the credit card and it declines. And so I didn't know anything about credit at this time. I was like, oh, well, I've heard my dad say this. So I say, well, will you try running it as credit? Just thinking that's what you said. And I do that and it declines. Try one more time, it declines. And so that feeling, that emotion at that point where I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I was embarrassed. I grabbed my little sister's hand and we walk out. And I remember going back thinking, holy crap, we're hungry. My dad has no money. His credit's declining. I don't know what's happening. And I committed to myself right then and there, I will never, ever, ever let that happen to my family. I will never, ever, ever put Jack and Tom in a situation where they cannot eat breakfast because I don't understand my finances and my credit. I'm not saying I have to go out there and be a multimillionaire to give them the life they need, but I will make sure that credit is never in a situation where they don't have the things that they need, where they don't have food, where they don't have clothes. Since then, it's grown to not just me and my family, but my new mission is I want to educate and empower entrepreneurs and teach them so that they understand the credit system and how it works and how to access capital. So that's my why. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm teaching course after course after course on credit and business finance and how it works. Now, Sarah, when I break down business, and aside from our funding company, me and my partner have a real estate portfolio. We own a flooring company. We own a pain management organization. We own a handful of businesses. And I can tell you right now, there are a few key components that I feel are imperative for any business, especially new business. Number one, you need mentors, you need trainers, you need to know what you're doing. You cannot play the guessing game with business, especially business nowadays. It's too competitive. So whether it's a one-on-one mentor, a training group, YouTube videos, number one, any business, you need to know what you're doing. Number two, you need to understand how to market. You need to have a strategy, how to get your product, how to get your name out there. How do people find you? How do they work with you? Number three, you need to have those competitive advantages, softwares, tools, resources that make your product sexy, that make people want to work with you, that make it easier to work with you. And then lastly, kind of put these things together. If you know what you're doing, you know how to do it, you've got the leads and you've got the softwares to tie that all together, you need the financial resources, right? Most of these things, mentors, training, softwares, they take money. And so we need the financial resources so that we can do these things, so that we can grow and we can scale. And that's what we're here to talk about today. That's the main function of Seven Figures Funding and what we do. Now, this question always comes up. Is debt always bad? And I can tell you, Sarah, I was raised by a third grade school teacher. My mother and my stepfather, who was a big part of raising me, was a CPA of like 40 years. He just recently retired in Utah. So we're very, very conservative. I remember I would get like a quarter or a dollar or something every time I finished a Dave Ramsey CD or tape. I get that some people can look at debt like that. And if you have zero discipline financially, maybe it's a good thing to look at debt like that. However, there is a very big difference between good debt and bad debt, personal debt and business debt. So the way I like to break this down, bad debt is borrowed money that is used to purchase items or services that do not retain or generate value over time, right? If you had to call me up and say, "Hey Ty, the Super Bowl's in a couple months. I'd really like that new flat screen. I can't really afford it. Will you get me a loan or credit card?" No, that's the basic definition right here. That is a bad debt. That would be silly. That would be foolish. Now, good debt, it's not just borrowed money for investments or assets. That's still, I mean, if you're borrowing money to try and go generate a greater return and there's no education or strategy behind it, you may as well go to Vegas and play blackjack, right? The big difference is it's the educated borrowing of money for investments or assets that have the potential to generate value or income over time. Now, when you look at good debt and you look at the previous screen that we just talked about, the things you need for your business, well, that right there, marketing, education, softwares, those are things that absolutely could be considered good debt for a business owner. So no, business debt is not bad. It just needs to be educated debt. So I like to give a little example here. Sarah, when I was first starting in this space, I worked exclusively with e-commerce organizations. And I love this graph here because I would have people all the time, "Oh, Ty, I've got a couple $1,000 in the bank account or hiding under the mattress. I'm just going to use $2,000 and throw it into inventory." Well, power of capital, 15% monthly profits, and results vary for everyone. That's just kind of a standard low end 15%. That $2,000 month after month after month reinvested at the end of 1 year is 10,700. Well, I mean, if you got that kind of return on a stock, I mean, that was the best stock. You're crushing it.
Sure.
Now, we're all here. We're watching this because we want to build a business. We want to build an empire. We want to change our lives. Now, as you saw on my screen, I have two babies. 10,700 is maybe covering diapers and formula for a year. Like that's not that's
Maybe.
maybe,
Maybe.
yeah. If you can find the formula, that's that. But no, I mean and it's okay if you're the 2,000 customer. But for me, I don't want to work with $2,000 customers. I want to work with people that understand good debt and understand the power of leveraging debt. Now, this next slide, I'm not talking about going out and getting a second mortgage or liquidating a
Right.
home to do this. We're talking about someone goes out, instead of the 2,000 they have, they get an extra $18,000 on top of that. Same exact graph, same exact 15%. But by going out and getting access to $18,000, you've now generated $107,000 as opposed to 10,000. Now we're starting to understand and look at a business that has the potential to start to change your life, your family's life, your children's life. Obviously, we don't want to stop at the 100,000, but that's the power of what getting access to even $18,000 can do. So the funding, as we start to understand, okay, obviously funding's important. It's the top reason why businesses will fail. They're not properly backed, properly funded. However, I often get businesses that call me up and say, hey, Ty, I really want a business line of credit. Great. When did you start your business? Well, 2 weeks ago. Well, yeah, okay, I understand you want a business line of credit. I want to invest in Apple 25 years ago, but that's not how it works. You don't get a business line of credit 2 weeks in. Now, there are options, there are solutions, but we need to understand what I call the business financial capital ladder. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but as I get to the end of this ladder and we fill it out, I encourage everyone to take a picture. You're not going to be able to jot all of these notes down as I go through this fast enough. So take a picture. I'll tell you again when it's done so you can take that picture. But business owners need to understand the capital that's out there. So phase one, we've started our business. At that point, the second you're to that point, there's a couple things we can look at. We can look at 0% interest personal credit cards. With that, you typically want to have about a 680 credit score. And you want to have your utilization, right? What percentage of your available credit are you using? You want to have that below 40%. Okay, personal unsecured term loans, as you see right next to that, same thing. They'll be a little less picky with credit, so 660, 670. You need to have verifiable income with this one. That's a big difference there. So you need to have verifiable income, whether it's W-2 because you're still working your job while you're starting your business, or you do pay yourself as a business owner. And then you need to have your DTI, your debt to income ratio, below about 60%. Okay. Now, from there, you actually go out and you set up your LLC, because these two you can do the second you have the idea. You don't need to even have an LLC or an EIN yet. Now we go out and we get our LLC, our S Corp, our C Corp, whatever you set up there. At that point, immediately you can get 0% interest business credit cards. Now, 0% interest business credit cards for a brand new business, they're still going to pre-approve you based off of your personal credit. That is literally the sole thing. If you have an actual EIN, an actual LLC, it's compliant. All they care about is your personal credit. The big difference here is, say you have a 20K business card and you max it out, it's not reporting personally. So it's not going to impact your personal credit. It's not going to bring down your personal credit. That utilization won't even be a factor unless you default. You've got to keep it in good standing. Otherwise, they will go report it personally. You can get a merchant cash advance. Now, merchant cash advances, people, they're very expensive. I typically only suggest a merchant cash advance if that's the way we can stay in business, or that's how we're going to get that batch of marketing and we understand our ROL, our return on our loan. A merchant cash advance definitely has its place, but if you have these other options, like a 0% business card or a personal term loan, I'm typically going to take that route first. From there, as you are 2 years in business, you have strong credit, maybe a little bit of business credit established, and you have around 30 to 35K in average monthly revenue. That's where a true unsecured business term loan comes into play, and about the same thing with that true unsecured business line of credit. So like I said, I mean, these exist, there's a place for them, but it's at the end of this capital ladder, not the second you have an idea to start a business. Now, outside of this, there's unique places within this ladder where something like an SBA comes into play. I just don't plug that in here because those can be a little tricky if you're going for the wrong type of SBA loan at the wrong time, wrong period. But these are more of the unsecured capital opportunities that are available. So this is where I'd suggest take a picture of the screen. I'll leave it on for another 5-10 seconds. Take the picture. So that you know where you're at as a business and what funding opportunities you should realistically be looking into. I'm going to take a quick drink while you do that.
Right.
Okay. So, let me go back. I'm sorry. Sarah, I'll let you get that picture.
I gotta get the picture. There we
Yeah,
go.
absolutely.
Hope everybody got your picture too.
Okay. Perfect. So as we work through the ladder, we know we want money. We know it's important. We understand why. The question always comes, well, what funding is right for me? Now, for most businesses, in most cases, I'm always going to suggest revolving credit. Revolving credit is going to be your standard credit cards. It's going to be your lines of credit, like a home equity line of credit or a business working capital line of credit. Revolving credit just means that as I pay back the debt, I can spend on it again. Whereas with a loan, when you pay back the debt, the loan's gone. You'd have to go get another loan if you wanted more money. So the reason why I think revolving lines of credit are so important, number one, you get credit-based approvals with no collateral required, meaning you don't have to show verifiable income. You don't have to put a home on the line, right? You can get credit approvals based off your credit worthiness. Number two, this is so important for new businesses, is your monthly payments are based on what you spend. Okay. If I get you a $100,000 loan, you're going to have to make a payment month one, no matter what, whether you use that money or not, you have to make a payment. If I get you a $100,000 line of credit, your monthly payment is usually about 2% of your monthly balance. So if you spend $0, your monthly balance is zero. Well, 2% of zero is zero. You don't have a payment. Number three is it's kind of like I talked about when I was explaining revolving credit. It's open-ended. You can continually put, pay for a batch of marketing, pay it off, pay for leads, pay it off, get a new software, pay it off. You don't have to call Ty and get a new loan every time you want to do something for your business. Number four is you get introductory 0% promotions. I've never seen a loan that's doing a 0% for 12 months or 0% for 18 months. Business credit cards do that all the time. And then number five is the cashback and the incentives, the free money. I use this picture specifically because, again, I don't know why it must be Tom Brady's coming up again, Sarah. I'm going to tell a
Uh-oh.
quick Tom Brady story. I'm a big football fan, a big Dolphins fan, but once the second Tom Brady left the Patriots, I could finally admit he's the greatest football player to ever play the game. Now, last year we kind of knew it was Tom Brady's final year. And I decided, even though Jack in this photo, he's never, ever, ever going to remember this, I wanted my son to be able to say he saw Tom Brady play in person. And so me and Leo decided, hey, let's quickly take a 2-night trip to Dallas. Let's go see Tom Brady. Let's let Jack get a picture with Tom Brady in the background. And we ended up with that trip. We do all of our business spending on credit cards, business credit cards. And so we booked the flights, we paid for the tickets, we got the Airbnb, ended up getting upgraded to first class because of how much we spend on the business credit cards. And it didn't cost us a dime because we simply used cash back and points. Now, it's probably a little smarter. You take your cash back and points, and when you're a new business, and put those right back into marketing, or ad spend, whatever that may be. But for us, it was time to
But a
take
football
a
game can
little
also
trip.
be a good spend. Yeah. Sometimes you need some
Exactly.
incentivizing. I hear you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for those that want to qualify your business today, number one, it will not impact your credit. Sarah, we have a direct API with Experian.com. It's the largest credit bureau out there. And with that, with name, address, and date of birth, we can do a soft credit analysis. So it literally will have no negative impact on your credit. You'll be able to see your different credit factors, what you qualify for, why you qualify for that. Or if you don't qualify, that's okay. A lot of people won't qualify. That's fine. That is what it is. But if you don't apply, you don't understand why you don't qualify, you just tuck your tail between your legs and feel sorry for yourself. Well, guess what? You're not going to qualify next year or the year after that or the year after that. We live in a world where there's so many options and things you can do to fix it. But if we don't
Right.
know the issue, we can't help. Okay. Again, I want you to be able to see that number, see that figure. There's a lot of power, even if you don't take the money, and just seeing, oh, wow, I can qualify for 50K. Now you're looking at making $50,000 moves as a business owner and not $2,000 moves as a business owner. And then I want you to be able to utilize our money manager platform, which I'll show you just a little bit here, and then be able to strategize with our team.
Fabulous.
So we have set up a page specifically for your team, Sarah. So if you want to go to sevenfigures.app/top shelf coach, again, I always have people put .com for some reason. It's sevenfigures.app/top shelf coach, or I put our fun little dinosaur QR there. You
Thank
can
you.
scan that,
Love that.
take you right there. You'll click apply now or get started. They'll both take you to the same spot where you're going to enter very basic, like I said, name, address, date of birth. I don't need your social. I don't need your mother's maiden name. I don't need any of that right now. This is just a soft analysis and a stated income so that my team can jump on, go over your factors, and help you know what your best options look like right now. Once you submit that application, our system will ask you to create a password. The password brings you to your money manager profile, where you will be able to see if you qualify, schedule a call, see if you need to sign a document, anything like that. But we also give you the ability to connect all of your existing accounts so that you can manage everything in one place. You don't have to log in to Chase and Amex and America First and Citi. You can create or essentially connect them all here and log in one spot where you can see all of your expenses in one place. You can see how you're spending your money. You can create a basic budget, and you can do this with both personal and business so that you can manage them in one spot, yet still create a separation. And then one of my favorite parts of this is you can set some financial goals, whether it be later this year or all the way down to 2031, and the system will kind of keep track of how you're doing. And as you're getting closer to these goals, it will send you different alerts.
Did you hear that,
Um,
everybody? He talked about managing your budget and setting financial goals.
Very
Just, just,
important.
just saying.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say one of the biggest things that I do, that me and my wife do, and it actually came from my business partner Leo Cannell, is he's very, very strict about what he calls a money date. So him and his wife love going on
Hugely
dates, but
important.
one day a week they have a money date. And so he has his my figures, she has her my figures, and they sit down and they look at the money, look at finances, they hold each other accountable. Something I've started to do with my wife, and it's definitely helped our financial health. Um,
That's a very good tip. Yes.
and then the last thing I want to leave you with, because I want, like I said, everyone here to go build the business of their dreams. I know we don't always love the financial aspect of business and money and debt, but businesses, as a business owner, just understand this. This quote changed my life. It's written here on the
Yes.
side of my desk.
Yes.
Money is a terrible master, but an excellent servant. Whatever you do, figure out how to get that money working for you. Don't be a servant of your money. And then there's that QR. So do you have any questions or anything you want me to add to that?
I do have just a couple things to throw out there. First of all, for everybody watching, this is a free service. So when you come here, we're the interest is in being able to help you, and obviously there's an incentive for that with the company, but you are getting all of the consulting side of it for your business health, for to your benefit. And if they can't help you, they're going to be able to tell you that, because this is credit, this is money, this isn't something intangible. So it does not hurt to check. Well, exactly what Ty Talbot was just saying. It does not hurt to take a look at what you're up to, take a look at where your business is, take a look at where your numbers are. And if you have problems, to troubleshoot with this service as well. So look, because I harp on finance, I harp on numbers. Numbers are the most important thing. So did I say that right? That this is a service for these people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we'll get you your credit profile. We'll talk about different tips. If you don't qualify, we'll help you understand why. Like I said, we have a portfolio of businesses, so we can kind of counsel on, based on where you're at as a business, what we'd suggest money wise and why that is the case. Because, like you just said, I do like to be sensitive to everyone's feelings and emotions towards money. But at the end of the day, if you're not submitting and at least applying and seeing what you qualify for or why you don't qualify, it may just be a laziness thing, because there is literally no negative aspect of this, Sarah.
None at all. And I fully agree that it's more important to understand your numbers inside and out as a business owner than it is to shy away from this or to take this as the part that you can be lazy about. Because at the end of the day, if you're not managing this, then you might have a hobby, but a negative margins is not a business. That's runs counter to the concept of what you're doing here. You need to pay attention to your finances. So that is what I would add.
Awesome. I agree. I agree. Well, it's been a pleasure being with you today.
Well, likewise, it's so good to have you. I was so excited about seeing this, and this is incredible information. I especially love that you mapped everything out to really show how people should be approaching this and at what points in time in the business. I think there's a lot of people that might really want this, but they're not sure where to be. So I think the map was really incredible. But this was all really helpful information. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And I just really appreciate it. So,
Absolutely. Anytime.
all right, take care.
You too.